Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Best Response to Any Objection with MAPS Coach Anna Krueger. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me, Anna. Take it away.
All right, thank you. And hey, Carlos, if you could give me the ability to share screen so I can put some slides up. It looks like I'm not able to do that. There we go. And then Denton, I see you in the questions box. I'm wondering if that's actually you or someone on your team. So you'll have to tell me. But either way, it's great to see you. And I'm excited to be with you guys today. So we're going to jump in very quickly. Make sure you have something to take notes with because we're going to move very fast. And the information I'm giving you today usually is a 2-hour session in the class Mastering Inside Sales. So I'm going to do my best to give you the nuts and bolts of it in 30 minutes. So get ready to write. And then remember, this is recorded, so you'll get the recording. You'll probably want to watch this one again. So today we're going to talk about how to respond to any objection. And where this is coming from, a lot of you are in the Facebook group called ISA Mastermind Group. It's really for anyone in sales. And I frequently see people say, what do you guys say when someone says this? And I kind of cringe inside sometimes because there's actually one response to every single objection. And I love that the question's being asked, yet there's not a standard response. Someone says this, you say that. Because what we actually need to do is ask questions. So I'm going to give you the pattern for that here in just a moment. Yet to lay the foundation, I want full participation. So we have a lot of people in this webinar right now. Get ready to use the questions box because I want to hear from you. If someone says, I want to wait until the fall, would you go ahead and type into the questions box what you think the reason is? Maybe just from what you hear from people all the time, or maybe what you think your reason would be to wait till fall. Yeah, if we could blow up that questions box right now, if someone says, I want to wait until the fall, what do you think the reason is? And I'll read some of those out as we go. So prices will go down. So people might think prices will go down if they wait till the fall. Insecurity, I would love to know more what you mean about insecurity. Maybe insecurity about the market. Someone else said they're not confident that they're ready. Maybe there's more inventory, and I'm just reading what's in the questions box here. They're not actually sure that they really want to sell, so they're procrastinating. Maybe they're shopping for another agent. That could be. You never know. They think that the market is too saturated in the summer, so they want to wait till the fall. They're not ready to commit. Here's another one. They're hoping COVID will be gone. And I'm not even reading all the ones. I don't know if you guys can see the questions box like I can. Yeah, I'm not even reading all of them. So summer vacations, the kids will be home. I'm not financially ready. I need a bigger down payment. I mean, all kinds of things, right? So can you see how if someone asks the question, hey, experienced agents, what is your response to someone who says, I want to wait until the fall? Can you see how we all have our filter, right? I just read off, how many was that? Maybe 10 different reasons, you know, better market, not as concentrated, bigger down payment, COVID will be less of a thing, hopefully in the fall, right? So can you see how if we have these sentences that we respond to people with, it actually might not be addressing the actual issue that they have going on. We need to learn more information. And we could do this for a lot of different things, right? If someone says, I want to sell on my own, I don't want to hire an agent, again, you could put into the questions box probably a whole list of things, right? Maybe they don't think they have enough money that they could afford an agent. I had that happen once where my assumption was, oh, they think they can make more money on their own. They don't want to pay commission, because that's what we often hear, right? Well, this lady told me, she actually started crying on the phone and said, I wish I could hire you. I don't think I have enough equity to pay an agent after I sell this house. I would rather hire you. So that just really taught me my assumption is just exactly that. It's an assumption, and I need to find out what the real concern is. Now, maybe some of you are on here and you are team leaders and you talk to people about joining your brokerage. Or maybe this applies at home. Maybe your teenager came home from school and they had some sort of issue going on, you could actually use this pattern there as well. So we're going to point this language pattern today at objections in real estate, but know that what I'm about to teach you, I actually learned as a counselor. So it's something that I now teach in real estate, but it's really just a human communication skill. So let's go ahead and jump in and get those notes ready. All right, give me 1 second to pull up the slides. And I think you guys can see that now. Awesome. And I'm a high interaction person. I love interaction as I'm teaching. In this format, I can't hear or see you, so feel free to use that questions box and I'll see those as they come through. So today we're going to talk about how do you uncover the true objection. So what's underneath what they're telling you? How do you address it? And then just a little tip for how to collect some win stories from your team. By the way, this is from session 8 in Mastering Inside Sales. Usually I take 2 hours to teach this. It's session 8, session 9. Today we're going to do it in 30 minutes. So buckle your seatbelts, okay? All right, so how do you uncover an objection? Write these steps down and then practice, practice, practice. The first thing you're going to do is welcome it. Welcome it. And that's going to sound something like, you know, Lee, I am so glad you brought that up. What you're saying is you want to wait till the fall, right? Or it might be, thanks for letting me know. What I'm hearing you say is you don't want to hire an agent. Is that correct? So let me ask you guys a quick question. What's the psychology behind welcoming it? Because it would be a bit easier to just have a sentence we respond with. Why are we taking a minute to say, thanks for telling me, or thanks for letting me know? What's the psychology behind that? And I'll give you a second. There's a little delay between when I ask and the questions box responding. So wait just a second here. Yeah, it's disarming, and I'm just reading what you guys said. It's acknowledging them, it's disarming them, it's getting their guard to come down, it's validating their feelings. Yeah, and it lets them know we're listening. I agree with all of that, absolutely. Think about it. You all have someone in your life that you probably dread telling any type of news because they just have a reaction, right? Well, if you think about it, and I mean this incredibly sincerely, is objections are the one thing that keeps us from setting an appointment, right? If you have a motivated person on the phone and they're not moving forward with you, it's just the objection. And think of it like you got to pick them off, right? Like I got to remove this, almost like a splinter, right? Let me get that out of the way so we can proceed. So I want to create an environment where this person feels very comfortable telling me their concerns. If I knee-jerk react or get defensive, do any of you have a friend like that where maybe you give them some feedback and they get super defensive, and so now you just don't feel like giving them feedback anymore? Maybe it's you, maybe it's me, right? We got to watch that. And so we want to create an environment of, yeah, tell me your objections. I'm very comfortable with that, and I'm not going to get defensive. So the first thing you're going to do is welcome it and rephrase it. So I'm so glad you told me, or I'm glad you brought that up. What you're saying is, recap it, and then is that right? Okay. Step number 2, you are going to dig twice. And let me explain digging. If you are in Mastering Inside Sales, or if you've taken these webinars before, you might already know what this is. But for those of you that are new, digging is where you take a word they said and you put it into their next question. So if they say, I think I can make more money on my own, type into the questions box what a digging question would be like. So again, you're going to use their words in your next question. So I think I can earn more money on my own. And I'm emphasizing to make this easy for you. Yep, how much money would you like to earn? How much more money are you hoping to make? This is my favorite question. The other ones were fine. This question from Amanda, what about more money is important to you? Because that's getting into their psychology. So if I say, how much more money would you like to make? That is a digging question. Yeah, it's going to produce a number. Yeah, if I say, what about more money is important to you? What if they respond and say, I really don't want to pay PMI on my next house, right? So maybe it's not necessarily about the dollar amount. What they're going after is, I want enough money from this house to put towards my next house that I don't have PMI. that private mortgage insurance, which is what happens if you don't put 20% down on most loans. Yeah, what about making more money is important to you? Yep. What's important to you about making more money? Now, there's a couple questions I'm not reading out loud because they say things like, are you, is it, and know that those are closed questions. That's going to lead to a yes or a no. I want an open question using their words to get them to tell me more, okay? So number one, I'm so glad you told me. What you're saying is you don't want to hire an agent. Is that correct? And then, okay, great. So what is it about making more money that's important to you? And maybe they say, I want to avoid PMI. Give me another question. If they say, I want to avoid PMI, go ahead and use the questions box again. I'm getting your brains to work today. What would possibly be your next question? And by the way, there's some really easy cheats on the screen. So you could say, what about avoiding PMI is important to you? Or what makes you believe that you would pay PMI or avoid PMI if you don't hire me? Something like that, right? So the idea is take something they said and put it into your next question, and you're going to dig twice. The reason we're doing this is it's going to uncover the real objection. Waiting till fall, I don't have enough information, right? I don't want to hire an agent. Well, I have no idea why they don't want to hire an agent. If they say I need a bigger down payment, I don't know why they think they need a bigger down payment. Maybe it's misinformation, right? When I was a new buyer, I had never bought a house, and I was young, and I thought I had to have 20% down. I had no idea that as a new first-time home buyer, I could buy a house with 3% down. That changed everything for me. I went from thinking, how in the world am I ever going to afford a house, to, oh, I need a lot less money than I thought. And then I bought one very quickly. So just remember, most objections, write this down, most objections are a lack of education. So let me put it this way. If they're motivated and they're not moving forward with you, it is a lack of education. It's a lack of education. So I got to find out, what do they believe and why do they think that? Then I can work towards overcoming it. Once you've dug at least 2 times, you're going to summarize it. And the reason for this is, what if I misunderstood and I want to make sure I really heard them and we're really on the same page? So I might say, okay, what I'm hearing you say, Belle, is you want to sell this house on your own so that you avoid paying me, you make as much money as possible so you do not pay PMI on your next house. Is that correct? Yes. Now, if I miss anything, usually they'll just correct me, okay? And then step 4 is what's called a conditional close. And that's where you're not solving anything yet, by the way. You're going to say, okay, if I can show you that by working with me, I can earn you more money than you could on your own and help you avoid that PMI, would you be open to talking about it? Notice I'm not solving anything. Really, all that I've done this whole time is ask questions. If you look at every step, 1, 2, 3, 4, every single step has a question. I'm not telling, I'm not solving, I'm not closing for the appointment. I am simply wanting to understand. So that conditional close, and don't just write conditional close, because you'll probably look at your notes later and think, oh shoot, what's a conditional close? That's what I did. So write down, if I can, solve it, put your words in there. Would you be open to hearing about it, or would you be open to talking about that? The thing I would caution you, because I've even seen this in the questions box, when I said ask another question, a couple of you typed in saying, let's meet, or hey, when, basically you went for the close, and we don't want to do that. You are going to close, but we're going to make sure you're closing for the right thing. Okay. How many of you have interacted with someone? Maybe it's at home with a spouse. Maybe it's in a sales conversation, and you sit there and think, they're not hearing me. The thing that they're blabbing on and on and on about, oh my gosh, they're not hearing me. They're talking about something that I don't care about, right? I had this with a friend the other day where they interrupted me and started answering what they thought I was saying, and I got really annoyed because I thought, you didn't hear me. this is kind of a waste of a conversation because what you're responding to isn't what I said, right? You cut me off and you didn't actually hear what I said. That is one of the fastest ways to lose a relationship in sales. So make sure you totally hear them. And yeah, a couple of you are typing in, yes. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to demonstrate this. This is going to be kind of one-sided because again, this isn't where I can hear you. So I'm going to be the agent and the client. Okay, and I'm just going to demonstrate what this would sound like. And again, you can rewatch this. You'll get the recording. So if someone says, I want to wait until the fall. Great, I'm so glad you told me. So what you're saying is you want to wait until the fall. Is that right? And they would say yes. Okay, what about waiting till the fall is important to you? And they might respond, I want to save a bigger down payment. Okay, what makes you believe that you need to have a bigger down payment? And then they might say, well, I heard I need 20% down to buy a house. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is you want to wait till fall because you need that time to save up a bigger down payment because you've heard you need 20%. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, great. If I can show you a way that it would actually make more financial sense to buy a home now versus waiting till you had 20%, would you be open to hearing about that? And that's how you uncover it. So before I go into solving it, we are going to solve this in just a minute, but any questions on how to uncover it? Any questions? Angelo said, what if they also want to avoid PMI? Then you would just put that in there. So you think you need 20% down for a bigger down payment and you want to avoid PMI, is that right? Okay, great. If I can show you that you don't necessarily need to wait, would you be open to talking about that? Okay. And by the way, you might need to ask 5 questions to fully understand. What I can tell you, I have 26,000 hours of experience doing inside sales. I know objections. You need at least 2 questions. If you think you have enough after 2, great, but don't ever do less than 2. The worst that'll happen is they'll say, well, I think I already explained it. So sometimes I'll say, tell me more about what makes you think that. And they'll say, well, that's pretty much it. So you can't ask too many questions. If you ask more questions than necessary, they'll tell you like, actually, I feel like I explained it. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure I totally understood. They'll appreciate that actually. Okay. By the way, this example is a real example. My cousin was waiting to buy a house. She was going to sell and then buy because she wanted a bigger down payment. This was years and years and years ago. Okay. But what I knew is from the projections, interest rates were expected to rise. So what I knew is if she waited till next year, okay, the amount of money she would save would be wiped out by that interest rate going up. Because what she cared about was her monthly payment. She didn't really care how much money she put down. She was trying to have her monthly payment below a certain number. So I just told her, I'm not a lender, but I think you should talk to one because they can tell you more about interest rates and the impact of waiting if they go up versus how much money you're putting down. Well, she ended up selling her house and buying a house within 3 months. And she thanked me. She's like, I had no idea that's how it worked. Thank you for explaining that to me. Well, that came from really understanding her motive. So this is where you got to really dig down and ask their motive. Again, this is a lot. Watch this webinar a few times. In Mastering Inside Sales, we spend 1 whole hour explaining just this and then the next hour practicing. By the way, that class is coming up May 12th. It's an 18-week class. We go over 19 language patterns, much like this one. We give you 4 tracking systems, and it's on Zoom. So unlike today, in the actual class, Mastering Inside Sales, you can actually see each other. So it's really fun. I've had a lot of ISAs and agents. We have a lot of agents in there. Tell me, I've really gotten quite a community because of this class. And when you talk offline, we script practice together, which is exactly what we want for you guys. Someone said, what's the investment? It's $199 a month for 6 months. Okay. And let me show you real quick, and then I'll finish out this pattern for you. If you go to mapscoachanna.com, I typed it wrong, mapscoachanna.com. Can you guys still see my screen, by the way? I think you can. Okay. If you go to mapscoachanna.com, this will pop up about a class we have starting next week, and that's really for the leader or a lead ISA on how to hire and train and then keep actually keep good ISAs on the team? How do you create that culture where they want to stay? You can X out of that or sign up if you haven't taken that yet. It starts next week, 1 week from today. But once you X out of that box, you'll see how to hire and keep ISAs, that class that's next week. And then you'll see the class I'm referencing, Mastering Inside Sales. And that starts May 12th, which is not that far. That's next month. So you can read a lot of just what people have had to say, what we cover, how much it costs, everything you need to know. And then you click sign up now, and you can take part of that class. So again, mapscoachanna.com, and then just close that light box that pops up. I'll show you one more time. That light box will pop up about the class. You can either sign up or close, and then here's Mastering Inside Sales. Okay, let's get back to the language pattern, and then at the end, I'll answer any other questions you guys have about class. Okay, so again, here's the language pattern. Now, if they say yes, I would be open to hearing the solution. You're going to do what's called a feature benefit statement, which I'll teach you in just a second. If they say no, I wouldn't be interested to hear that. Then you're going to say, okay, well, what else is holding you back? What else is holding you back? How many of you have ever had a decision? Maybe it was buying a car, maybe it was buying a house, maybe it was taking the job that you now have, and you had more than one objection. That's very, 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 very normal. Maybe you want to travel, and right now it's, do I have money to travel, and do I want to travel with COVID? That might be 2 objections that you have. Also, where would I go? Where am I allowed to go? That could be a 3rd objection. And so what we have to understand is, if you're, please hear me, this is really big. If you're setting appointments and they're not showing, so you're setting them, they're not showing up, there's a good chance that you have objections you did not uncover. So if I go through this whole thing and say, hey, if I can show you that by not waiting till fall, it might actually save you more money and put you in a better position, would you be open to hearing about that? If they say no, they would have been a no-show if I had just breezed past that, right? So I'm going to say, okay, well, what else is holding you back? And I'm just going to follow this pattern one more time. Now, once I get a yes, I'm going to do what's called a feature benefit statement. And what that is, to explain this to you, a lot of times when we talk about ourselves or the team, and I love you all, I used to battle this, but it sounds like a brag. Well, we do this, or we do that, or this happens, or here's how awesome we are. And people can kind of tune out. Have any of you ever experienced that, right? Where you're talking to someone and they start talking about the team, and depending how they talk about it, it can really be a huge turnoff, right? So I'm going to teach you guys how to do this in a very relational way that is not a brag, okay? And the way that you do it is you share a fact or a feature, same thing, a story or a statistic, and then you tie it back to the client. So let me stop sharing screen for a quick minute, and I'm just going to give you an example real fast. If you've taken Mastering Inside Sales, you've heard me use this example before, but it's such a good one, I'm going to use it again. So you just get to hear it twice. But years ago, I had a speaking engagement, and somehow, when I got out of my car, I had green highlighter all over the center of my shirt in this pattern. It looked like I had swirled green highlighter on my shirt. Well, I had no extra clothes to change, so now I have to get up and speak in front of all these people with green highlighter all over my shirt. I felt like a fool, y'all. I really did. So if you are a pen salesperson, let me just ask you, the fact that this pen has a cap would be a really good feature to tell me. How would you tie that back to the painful experience I just told you? Put it into the chat box. So remember, a feature benefit is you share a fact about whatever you're selling, and then you say what that does for you, Anna, is, and then personalize it. So I just told you a story that was kind of painful, had an embarrassing speaking engagement with marker all over my shirt, and now you want to sell me a marker. And I'll give a second because the chat box has a slight delay. And let me put the pattern back up here for you. Yes, Amanda got it. And I'm going to strengthen it just a tad. But Amanda, you definitely got the concept here. So she says, our pens have a cap. That's a feature. That's that top one right there. It's just a fact. Our pen has a cap. What that means for you, Anna, is you will never again have to speak in front of a group of people with marker all over your shirt and feel like a fool. So see how personal that is, right? It's not, well, our pens have caps and blah, blah, blah. It's our pen has a cap, and that's it about you. What that means for you, customer, is you're not going to have to get up and speak in front of a bunch of people with marker all over your shirt, right? So if we bring this back to real estate, and type in real quick if that makes sense to you. Yeah, Valerie said it too. This marker has a cap. What that means for you is you won't have to worry about accidentally marking your clothing. Great. And then to strengthen it, remember the pain point was speaking engagement, right? If you mark up your clothing, but you're just running through the line at Starbucks, no big deal. The pain point was the speaking engagement. So you want to tie that in, and that's how you really customize that. So if we go back to our example of, I want to wait till fall because I think I can make more money. I think I need 20% down, you know, whatever it might be. Okay, so if I can show you a way that by buying a home now, it actually can make more economic sense than waiting until the fall, would you be open to hearing about that? Sure. Okay, and then make sure you know the market. This is just an example. Make sure you know the market. But now I might say, you know, interest rates are expected to rise by third quarter, which last I heard was true, but nobody knows the future, right? But that's the fact. So, or the feature. So last I heard, Mr. Buyer, interest rates may rise by third quarter. That's what the economists are saying. What that means is if you wait until the fall, there's a good chance that that interest is going to eat up and make that monthly payment higher for you. Best thing for you to do is to talk with a lender. I'm not a lender. That's where you want to talk to a lender. Yet that's what I'm hearing. So can you see how doing something now might make more sense? So again, what you're doing is you're tying the fact back to them versus just simply, here's a fact, here's a story, here's how we're amazing. Another thing you could do, maybe someone's worried about the market and how hot it is, and I don't want to be homeless. So dig in, right? Uncover it. But once you've uncovered it, a statistic might be, you know, Nate on our team, our buyer's agent, has won a multiple offer against 6 people within the last week. So what that means by working with Nate is you'll be with an agent that knows how to navigate today's market and give you a good chance of not being homeless. See how that works? So again, this is complex. This is something in class, and even in class where we spend 2 hours on it, I always feel like, gosh, we could spend more, and that yet there's more patterns to learn, right? But in class, we spend a whole hour diving really deep into this with how exactly do you craft this? How do you know data? We go over how do you collect data from your team so you know how to actually use it on a real phone call. And then the next class, we spend an hour practicing with me, with each other. In Zoom, we do what's called breakout rooms, which is really fun. I can put you into an electronic room that's smaller. So maybe there's 100 people on the webinar, but I can Zoom you into a room where there's only 3 of you and you get to practice. And it's a great way to build community too. So let me share screen one more time, and I'll show you how to find that class. So you just go to mapscoachanna.com, mapscoachanna.com. The box that pops up is about the how to hire ISAs and how to keep them on your team. That's next week. That's not really the class we're talking about today, but just know that is coming up next week on the 8th. I don't know when that one will be offered again, FYI. But the class I'm referencing right now is this one, Mastering Inside Sales, May 12th. It's $199 a month. I had one ISA in there say I am setting 10, or excuse me, I'm having 10 more people show a month compared to before I started the class. So think of that, it's $199 a month, yet she reaped 10 additional people per month actually showing up in order to meet with the agent. That's huge return on investment. So check that out, Mastering Inside Sales, starting May 12th. May 12th. It's my favorite hour of the week, just so you know. All right, any quick questions? I can hang on here for just a minute. Any questions you guys have before we hop off? And type it in quickly because we're right at time. Yeah, I want to give you a chance if you have a quick question. I can hang on for just a second. By the way, thanks for joining me today, guys. I know you have a lot of options for what you could have been doing. Okay, I don't see any questions. Oh, how many classes a week? Angelo, it is 1 class a week for an hour. We record it, and trust me, that is a lot. So a lot of people tell me they feel like they're kind of drinking from a fire hose. And so what we do is we do 3 classes a month. We take 1 week off. 3 classes, 1 week off. And the reason we do that is so you have time to digest, really get these patterns down before we add more in there. So it's a 6-month program. It's 1 hour a week, 3 weeks a month, and everything's recorded. So if you miss it, or if you want to go back and watch it again, you can do that. Okay. Leek says, I was in a training session recently and didn't receive the recording. I don't know what session that was. If it was one that I led, shoot me an email at mapscoachanna@gmail.com and tell me which one it was. If it was a different one, maybe email MAPS. I'm not sure. It would depend on what it was. Carol, yes, this webinar was recorded. So everyone who registered, you will get a copy of this so you can watch it again. Feel free to share it with a friend as well. All right, guys, I think I answered all the questions. You're welcome. All right, guys, well, hopefully I'll see you May 12th in class in Zoom. I can actually see your faces. It's a lot of fun. We can interact, and hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great one. Bye.